The artist formerly known as Machine Gun Kelly, this year in August released an album called Lost Americana, and I have thoughts about this album, as is the purpose of this channel. One day you'll understand. MGK, as he now goes by, and is also easy to say, is an interesting artist to me, because as much as I keep hearing, negative stories about him, whether that be fan interactions, the whole Haley Jade incident, and just, weird things, and I'm sure he's a bit of an asshole. Despite that, I unfortunately really like his music. And it's something I battle with every day. I will listen to everything he releases. I have intentions of going back and finishing off the first few albums that I am yet to listen to. And it's a moral quandary for me, but what can I do? And I found him, as I'm sure many people did, during the Eminem MGK beef in 2018, where, he lost just objectively. But that said, Rap Devil was fine. It was actually not that bad. Obviously then he released the Binge EP to kind of profit off of the buzz around his name, which at the time I hated and thought was awful. But I think that was kind of me buying into a lot of the internet discussion about it. I've since listened to it, and it's fine. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's not, anything amazing. It's not impressive anything really, but it's a vibey short project, and it does its job fine. Even though I'm sure its job was meant to be to excel his career, but regardless, Following that, he released his last hip hop album, Hotel Diablo, which I listened to around its release and loved. I thought it was really, really good. And still to this day, I think it's one of my favourite albums, maybe. A lot of the albums I listened to around that era I'll have more passionate thoughts on, whether that be positive or negative, just due to the fact I listened to less music, and I was still quite new into listening to music and figure out what my music tastes were. But I can still go back to that, and it's not entirely a no-skip album. 53666 isn't my favourite, but I'm probably going to review that album with you. Discuss that album one day. But that said, really liked that album, loved it, but it didn't do very well numbers-wise because no one wanted to touch him due to the Eminem beef. And since then, he has not released a rap album. He released Tickets to My Downfall, which is the pop-punk album, which came after he released Why Are You Here, I believe, on New Year's Eve or something like that. And I really like that album. It's not a perfect album by any means, but I really like it. I think what it is really fun and good and great. And I go back and listen to songs off that. I really like the acoustic cut of Bloody Valentine from the deluxe, and it's great. Then he made a sequel album to that, which was Mainstream Sellout, which is a lot worse. There are still songs in there which I love, but the general consensus, and to be honest, even my thoughts, was that it was a lot worse. It felt like there's a lot less passion in it. It was the album that brought us hits like Emo Girl, and songs with the lyrics such as "Leave the scene, you're ruining it." So it wasn't as good. And after that, he left pop punk and he stopped making pop punk music. He didn't want to do a trilogy for some reason, even though that feels like the natural thing. Never make two, always make three. But considering the quality of the second album, it made sense to leave after that. And then there was rumblings. I think he may have even said in an interview that he was working on a return to rap, which I was really looking forward to, and also just really curious about to see what that would look like. As as much as rap is getting a bit more progressive and getting a bit more welcoming of emotions and all this, to leave the genre to make songs about how much you like emo girls and wearing chokers and having quite a feminine look, and then returning to the same genre where you were once called Machine Gun Kelly, talking about, popping cherries of pop stars and running up on people and killing them, I think would have been a difficult task to do and be welcomed with open arms. That said, do I think that's right? No. Like I said, the genre with artists like Tyler, the Creator, is getting a lot better at not being so toxic masculinity, homophobic, etc., etc. But we're still not there yet, and we're not going to pretend we are there yet, because we're not. So I was really interested to see what it would look like for him to return, one, with a lot of rappers not liking him due to the Eminem beef, although that is calming down, especially over the last couple of years, since the rise of Jelly Roll. And with, a lot of the rap fans, not liking him because of the Eminem beef, even though a lot of rap fans don't like Eminem now either. Like, it would have been possible. And it would have been very interesting to see what he could have done. But I think he would have had to come out swinging. And notice I say would have, because instead, after like a few random singles, some of them which I really liked, BMXing I think is a great song, and I thought that was leading to the rap project, and I was really liking the sound that had. Obviously, he had a few covers and a few random singles. He then releases Cliché, and all of a sudden there's a pre-save on his account, on the Spotify account, for Lost Americana, which is labeled as a pop rock album, and is the album that we got. Oh, so immediately I was disappointed with what we were getting. Not because necessarily it was going to be bad, or I don't like the genre. I have no real opinions about the genre. I was more just confused. And I was also a bit worried because of the US imagery. As much as it's not the fault of like patriotism, a lot of the time patriotism equals racism and homophobia, etc., in the modern day. Not saying it's patriotism's fault, but a lot of the time they come hand in hand. So I was a bit worried about what the project would be. I wasn't super excited. I didn't have any expectations on sound-wise. And like I said, it stole from me the MGK modern day rap album in my head. And something we have not had since 2019. Obviously, we got the deluxe or the anniversary edition of Hotel Diablo, Floor 13 edition with El Pistolero. I believe that was like the only new song on there. And that was good. I liked that. We got BMXing and all that, but like I wanted I wanted a whole album of it. Not just because of the music, but because I was just curious to see what would happen. But that said, Lost Americana is what we got. So Lost Americana is what we will discuss. And it is, in my opinion, decent. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's fine. It's worth listening to, in my opinion, if you're an MGK fan. And it's more of just like an interesting release, I think. Because, like I said, the album came out in August. And like 3 months later, the album kind of got hidden because of the Tickets to My Downfall All Access release, which is like the anniversary Vault edition of the album. So now it's like not even the newest thing on his account, which is nothing wrong with that, you know. And he is doing a tour for Lost Americana. He is then also doing some Tickets to My Downfall shows during that tour. But generally, it feels like the album kind of came and went. But then again, I don't really engage with MGK's community. What do I know? But overall, I liked it. It just feels like a very random release. But then again, it doesn't feel too out of character for MGK. Obviously, he started with rap music. He then moved over to pop punk. Then he started to do some country stuff. Like a lot of the singles he was releasing in between his last pop punk album and this were country covers or country features. He made a couple rap songs, and now he's doing pop rock. So he seems to be in a state of just like, I'm just going to try everything. He also made a few rap freestyles a few years ago where he kind of touches on the thing of like, I can do anything and you don't know what I'm doing next. So I think it's fun to see this. I'm definitely not against this. I would have liked it on a personal level to come after a rap album, but I understand. And like I said, I do like it. I like the really heavy production on the opener of Outlaw Overture. Cliché, as much as it's kind of getting ragged on as like, you know, a bit poppy and generic, whatever. I really like it, and it's one of my favourites on the album. I really like Indigo, although it has a few cringy lines. But, you know, MGK is MGK. There's going to be a few lines which don't hit. I don't think that generally affects the sound of the album and the general instrumentals, which I think in general do keep me entertained throughout a lot of it. There are definitely songs which I don't think I've returned to since listening to the album. I don't really remember much. But it's definitely an album which I do want to go back to, and there are songs of that I will pick out and listen to again, because I did enjoy them. So that said, do I think that MGK's kind of venture into pop rock was successful? I don't really know what he was hoping for. I don't think he was hoping for like anything like the pop punk revolution, partly because the rollout seemed kind of sudden. And like I said, the moving on from the album didn't take that long, other than the tour, of course. But, you know, releasing the all-access version of Tickets to My Downfall, I do feel it kind of undercuts the era quite quickly. Then again, it's an anniversary release. I understand. We're going to do push back the anniversary. But overall, I do think it leads to an interesting couple years of MGK's music career. Well, after Mainstream Sellouts Deluxe, we had a lo-fi chill vibes album or project, whatever you want to call it. Then you had the anniversary edition of Hotel Diablo. Then you had loads of random singles like BMXing, Sun to Me, which was country. You had some Spotify singles. You had the Lonely Road cover with Jelly Roll. You had another song on Jelly Roll's album. You had a song dedicated to one of his friends who passed away. You had Iris as a cover. And you had Come Pick Me Up, which I don't fully remember. Then you get Lost Americana, which includes like one of those songs, and then quite quickly you move on to the anniversary edition of Tickets to My Downfall, and then of course the NF feature. I don't know what he's going to move on to next, honestly. I don't know if he's going to keep this up and move on to loads of different genres. Then again, I don't know what he would move on to. I know that the metal crowd doesn't love him, and I can't really think of any other genres because I'm not very good at that. An acoustic album, maybe. I don't know. He's in a weird stage of his career. I feel like he knows he's been successful at what he's done. And he's just having fun with it, which I guess is one of the best things to ask for with artists of this size and who've been around for this long. Like, as much as I hear that he's not great, I do wish him the best, and I hope he's doing well, and I hope that one day you give me that rap album I would like. Thank you, Mr. Machine Gun Kelly, Mr. MGK, artist previously known as Machine Gun Kelly. And I haven't talked much about the album itself, but like for me, there's not much to talk about. Like it's just a fun-ish sounding album. Just the general kind of variety of topics that MGK touches on. A few that are a bit more personal, a few that are a bit more depressy, and a few that are a bit more, just hype tracks. Of course, I forgot to mention when he released Genre Sad Boy, which is another like genre thing of, releasing the sad boy genre. I don't know what to call it. I'm looking at the word Genre Sad Boy. That's all I can think of. Obviously not a highlight of MGK's career there. And I do feel like that is a problem he has recently started to run into with a lot of his emotional writing kind of not feeling super genuine, when he can definitely do super genuine. Like I said, I think Hotel Diablo has a lot of that. I think this album has some of that genuine songwriting. It does get slightly undercut with lines like the Tolkien thing. But Indigo, I think, is a good song. It's just that line makes me laugh. But then the rest of it is good. It's vibey, And at the end of the day, if music sounds good and you enjoy listening to it, I obviously it is fun to dive into the lyrics and to discuss the quality of songwriting and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if the voice sounds good, it's mixed well, the instrumentals sound good, and it makes you feel something. Unless the lyrics are abhorrent or problematic, sometimes it's fine to be like, yeah, it's not, the best album in the world, but it's fun and I enjoy listening to it, and it makes me feel. I feel like this is what that is. It isn't going to be a standout for his discography. It's not going to be like a huge moment or era in his discography like the two pop punk albums were. But it was a fun little deviation from what he usually releases, and it helps keep this discography interesting, I suppose. Do I want the next album to be more of this? No, I think this is enough. It's not a super long album, but it's, I think, about 15 tracks, which is a good amount of this sound, especially when like only one single came out for it. So like a lot of it was new when it came out. It all felt fresh. Still want the rap album. Do I think he's working on the rap album? Do I think he's scrapped it? The existence of BMXing makes me think that maybe he did some work on it and then scrapped it, or took a break from it to work on this. Who knows? But rest assured that when that rap album comes out, I will listen to it and I will have opinions that probably aren't what everyone else has on them. That said, is it worth listening to? Out of sheer curiosity, I think yes. I don't think it's for everyone, definitely, and I think if you have like preconceived ideas of MGK and his, because again, he's one of those artists which people have like opinions on, which I think is valid, and I think some of it is definitely his fault. But if you can remove all that and listen to it as just music, I think you'll find that it's okay. It's a fine album. It's not my favorite of the year. It's not up there. It's definitely in one of my favorites in terms of just to put on and vibe to. Like I said, it's not, I'm going to use that word again, groundbreaking, but I enjoy it. I'm glad it exists. Would I rather the rap album? Of course, but I'm not against it existing. I'd rather this exist than he releases something like a country album and I'm just bored, I wasn't bored throughout any of this album. I think that is something to be said for hour-long projects, hour-ish long projects, especially when I listen to quite a lot nowadays. This was worth a listen for me personally. That said, give me it. I want it. Give me more. Give me it. Floor 14, please. Anyway, yeah. You get it.